Supercharging personal empowerment. A step-by-step guide to personal empowerment. Chapter 2. My vulnerability. If you haven't watched Chapter 1 of Supercharging Personal Empowerment, we'll be putting the link on our description below. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and click the notification bell button to keep you updated on our future videos. Supercharging Personal Empowerment. A step-by-step guide to personal empowerment. Chapter 2. My vulnerability. We learned nursery rhymes when we were kids. Humpty Dumpty rang in our ears. When he had a great fall, it was when he sat on the wall, making himself vulnerable. He broke into pieces, and all the king's horsemen couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. I mentioned in the last chapter, we must understand who we are so that we won't allow ourselves into a situation like Humpty Dumpty, sitting where he was most vulnerable. On the wall. Get away from the edge of the cliff. Even when a notice says, don't touch, it's wet, we touch it anyway. Or when the high voltage notice that says, do not touch high voltage, still explodes itself anyway. Knowing ourselves includes understanding our strengths and weakness. Allow me to explain further why we become vulnerable. First and foremost, within us lives a person who hasn't grown up. Our minds are part and parcel of the culture we came from, the education we received from home and school, and the sermons we heard from the pulpit. These were the mental food we grew up with and which became our value system, which we've carried all these years. Our thought patterns are a byproduct of what we learned from these schools of thought. This forms our convictions and belief system, which are byproducts of our formal and non-formal education. Second, our emotions are dominated by our thoughts. We feel what our mind makes us feel. We might become depressed and gloomy, depriving us of enjoying what life has to offer. When, in times of hardship, we are emotionally disturbed, experiencing discouragement, it means we are weak and not strong. Hardships are not intended to diminish our power to think and make the right decisions. Within us is a weak mind that can become the devil's playground. We can become weak in our emotions. We can easily give up on life, give up enjoying every moment, during challenging experiences. We've got to be strong emotionally. Third, our will is also influenced by our mind. It makes decisions according to what the mind dictates to be right and wrong. When fear fills our hearts, when we fear what the future holds, trying to figure things out and speculate, we do not know what to do. We become helpless, puzzled, and depressed. We must have a strong will, capable of making the right decisions. The ability to choose to win, and not to lose, to persevere, and not to quit. Fourth, our body reacts to our thoughts and feelings, and we make decisions and begin to increase acidity by worrying. This acidity builds up and results in hormonal imbalances, which produce inflammation in the gut, then rashes and unexplained skin irritations. When you become restless, sleeping fewer hours, you will experience a decreased mobility and you might then end up experiencing serious illnesses. Fifth, since our minds are filled with doubt, we begin questioning the Creator, asking, why have you created me? Why am I here? Our questioning of the Creator, you know why it happens, occurs because we do not know who we really are, where we come from, who created us, and we become unstable in all ways. Most of all, sixth, we lack faith. When you lose faith, all you have are worries, fears, resentment, blame, doubts, paranoia, sickness will follow. You begin to ask questions about who God is, and ask if God does really exist. Faithlessness produces failure, unproductivity, a decrease of energy, emptiness, blurs perspective, and brings death. Furthermore, there are 4 physical manifestations that accompany disempowerment, which are: the first is lack of sleep. When we are not properly rested, the whole system of the body is affected. Sleep at least 8 hours a day. Rest between 3 to 4 hours of work. Have an awesome break. Our mind can only think so much at a time. It must find some refreshing moments. Secondly, the food that we eat and liquids that we drink affect the way we carry ourselves. Some challenges need physical strength. Good. Regular walking exercise could be the best way to inhale fresh air and exhale the bad air inside of us. Eat and drink alkaline. Thirdly, When we are overly exhausted, this affects the way we think and affects our ability to make the right decision at a given time. As much as possible, prevent overload. As humans, we can only do so much at any given time and, of course, depending on our capacity. The fourth is never to put your body at risk of breaking down. There is a person who expires in the middle of their work. There are those few who will not wake up the following morning. There will be a day of reckoning. We will pay a toll for all the things we have done to our bodies. We should take this precious moment to live and treasure the memories we create. Our vulnerability will be tested. Are we ready to take the test? Are we mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually ready for a hard blow? Our readiness is very important. We must be prepared before the time of the battle. After a month and a half, I received a call from my daughter saying she had cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 3. Her naturopath's chest examination and the blood exams I asked her to do while I was on my flight confirmed she had cancer. I was shocked and horrified by the feeling of my daughter's pain inside me. It was not easy. There was silence for a moment. Deep within me, I was crying, asking for help. I was terrified of what her illness might become. I was not sure how to go about dealing with a worst-case scenario. I was kind of lost for a moment. I requested that my cousin, Dr. Rene Ginto, called the doctor that I met on the plane. Even today, during the writing of this book, I have never heard anything about him. I have sent numerous emails thanking him, but there has been no reply at all. Was he an angel? If he was not an angel, who was he? I feel like I was touched by an angel. The man I was talking to on that plane while I worried about my daughter was an angel, sent by God to assist me at a time when I needed him the most. God sends angels to assist us in difficult times in our lives. They come to rescue us, sometimes from impending death. I remember November 28, 2016, a CNN story about an 8-month-old baby girl who was ejected from a car after the car was swept away by a truck. Everyone looked on the ground nearby, hoping to find the baby. After hearing a sound, they found her inside a storm drain, 24 feet from the crash site, unharmed. If angels are not real and ready to rescue people's lives, that baby could have been dead. One of the firefighters s. Yes, we will be tested to determine our limitations. When we react with faith, it opens different avenues of possibilities. Our response at this moment is crucial to what the universe will do, as it acts on our behalf. The law of attraction mentions that we attract the things we want to happen to us. It all depends upon us, upon our wishes, our desires. Flying back to Vancouver after a month, passing through South Korea, was the saddest trip I'd ever taken. Coming home to my daughter in the hospital, lying there facing a horrible disease. I felt so sad, but I had a strong faith and believed that God will take me away. I said to myself, God giveth and God taketh away. I strengthened my resolve that no matter what, I would trust Him with all my heart. My daughter was touched by an angel. While we had our dinner, she testified that she was touched not only by an angel but by God. She exclaimed, "I felt the compassionate love of God through Jesus Christ." After that, healing began to take place in the unseen world. I never doubted God, and I was never worried again. Words came to my mind. Worrying is an insult to the omnipotent God. We can only believe and trust Him, for He works in a miraculous way. Indeed, just at the thought of it, I gaze toward heaven and say, Father Almighty, thank you, you are worthy of all praise. I worship you. We can only be grateful every day. There is no reason to complain. Our lips filled with praise, our voices lift to the heavens from whence our help comes. There is an innermost power that is created within us as we live a life in full obedience to His will. It is His will that we trust Him and honor Him even in difficult times. When you're about to give up, He is there at the very end of the rope. At the end of your resources, He is always there. Reach out, Jesus is a prayer away. When our batteries are low, He is our charging point. That's where our help comes from. The increase of energy comes from the source. When we are connected, we can be fully charged. Sometimes we are permitted by God to experience being tossed by the winds of trial and hardship, so that we may know that He is God. When He comes to the rescue, He comes when we need Him the most, and He is never too late in His response. Our vulnerability is an opportunity for us to see the almighty power of God at work in our lives. As He once said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9. Then Paul added, "When I am weak, then am I strong." 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 10. When we become weak, He will give us grace that can sustain us through severe trials. This unmerited favor is enough to carry us through, nothing else. His power will come to the rescue, not power of our own making, but His orchestration in our lives. We are made complete through Him. Is this not a great comfort? This is what made my daughter and me strong and kept us going all those 24 months. The goodness of the Lord never fails. Meditate upon the words of the Apostle Paul to the Philippian church, "But my God shall supply all your need according to His riches in glory by Christ Jesus." Philippians chapter 4, 19. We may be tempted to worry, not at all, for the abundance of God's mercy is made available. He surely will supply our needs, according to His riches. God will never be too late in meeting our needs. He always comes on time. There are times when we feel He is too late in replying, yet when we look at the clock, He is just on time. Never doubt, God never turns His back on His promises. Each will all come true. Let's move along as we discover ourselves in a deeper way, as we explore how we can supercharge ourselves.